Hey there, and welcome to the Flourish podcast. My name is Stephanie, and I am so glad that you are here. Well, we have gone on quite a journey. Today is episode 98. 98 episodes in a row, one a week for all this time, and I just cannot be more excited to be able to be moving towards that big 100 episodes. That is so exciting to be able to know that I stepped into something that was very scary and have been able to create that over and over again for almost 100 weeks. And so I thought, what would be a good way to bring that momentum towards episode 100, then to maybe look back on a couple different of my favorite episodes or a few of your favorite episodes. So this week and next week, we're going to have a little bit of a look back at a couple of my favorite episodes. I think I'm going to do, at this point, I know I chose 2 for today, and then we'll see for next week. Welcome to Flourish, the podcast for faith-driven mompreneurs who are ready to release overwhelm, create sustainable, healthy habits, and build purpose-driven businesses aligned with their faith, family, and vision. I'm Stephanie Book, a transformational mindset, wellness, and business coach. I'm here to equip you with the tools, mindset shifts, and encouragement to help you flourish. If you're ready to grow a thriving life and business while staying aligned with your faith, purpose, and priorities, you're in the right place. You are worthy and capable of living a full and flourishing life. Success isn't just possible, it's meant for you. Let's dive in. One of the reasons I wanted to do this was, one, just to be able to celebrate the time that I've been able to spend. And for those of you that have been listening since the beginning, oh my goodness, my heart of gratitude goes out to you. I have a few people that listen every week consistently, and they give me feedback, and I just love them so much, and I appreciate them, and you know who you are. But I appreciate each one of you for listening and helping me stay committed to this, because it was a desire on my heart for a long time, and I'm so glad that I still get to do this, and I really truly enjoy being able to bring this to you every week. So this week we're going to highlight a couple different episodes. The first episode is actually my very first episode, and so it's Faith Step In is the name of the episode, and it was just by my phone microphone. So there's no video. So those of you that are watching the podcast, you're just going to get to listen. But it's a very short episode, but I thought what a great way to start celebrating where I've come from with this podcast by looking at the very first one. And it was really fun going back and listening to a lot of the different episodes that I had and deciding. And it's really hard to decide because there was a lot of good ones that I wanted to do. And then the next one that I wanted to share was episode 40. It was one of my newer podcasts with the video. So you could see me glancing down at notes a little bit, and I was a little bit more nervous, but I really like that one because it's also faith over fear. So it kind of has that similar vibe to it, but obviously it's a little bit longer, but I think I had really good things to say. So I'm going to do my best to kind of put in most of the podcast without all the extras in there, and I hope that you enjoy it. But then next week I'm going to do your favorite episodes. So since that's not all done yet, if you have a favorite episode, one that you really, really liked, or one that you took a lot from, or you've shared with other people, I'd love to know. I have a little bit of time to put those together, and so that would be fun. Even if I get to do a couple clips of different ones, that would be great as well. I have a few that I would like to do, or I could go by the analytics and decide which ones are your favorite, but I would love to know if you have a favorite. Make sure that you message me at steph.book and share that with me, or send me a message wherever you go to send me messages. All of my links are in the show notes, so you can contact me that way and let me know what your favorite episode is, and maybe that will be one that I highlight for next week. So I really hope that you enjoy these couple episodes. I've really been thinking a lot about wanting to start this podcast and have been holding it back for quite a while. And I think that fear plays a big part of that. And I bet you too can relate to that there's something that is in front of you that you really would like to do, but you're letting fear of the unknown, fear of what others might think, fear of your own insecurities, if you've got what it takes, if you'll have enough content, or you'll have enough gumption to keep it going, or motivation, right? We all have those reasons, those things that stop us from moving forward. But what I've learned over time, as I've really dived into working on myself and personal growth and seeking those that are experts, reading books and following up with my mentorship team and learning the ways to overcome that fear, one of the best ways to overcome that fear is just to start, just to step, to take that first initial movement towards something. And once you do that, once you make that call, once you make that decision or make that step or move forward, 1%, one little bit of the dial, you will be able to move closer to the goal that you have. So I thought, okay, I can sit in the fear and the worry, or I can step into this and just plunge in with my insecurities and my worries and all those things and put those aside and just step into what I felt God has really wanted me to do for a long time. So I thought, let's talk a little bit about that and how do we overcome that fear? I always think about the Indiana Jones movie. I don't remember which one it is, but I remember there was a point where Indiana Jones, if you haven't seen it, he is supposed to walk across this amazing cavern, like it's huge, like you would fall to your death. But he had to have faith that the bridge would appear. And oh my goodness, I have thought about that so many times in my walk, as a Christian, as a mom, as an entrepreneur, like all the different areas in my life. And would I be willing to take that step onto that unseen bridge, the invisible bridge? And really, faith is a lot like that, right? As we step into our faith and we trust in God and what He's designed for us, we need to really fully take that step and let go and let God. And I think it's so easy to get in our head, get into the worries, and not really have that faith. And that is a huge step, a way to really take that step and say, I'm going to trust fully in what God has for me and not worry, not let those fears overtake me, but just really step in. Now, I'm not telling you to go step in some cavern because you think that's what you're supposed to do and hope that a bridge is going to be there. I mean, that's media and all those things. But I think that the principle is there. The principle of taking that step and putting your trust that God has got you, that He is definitely walking with you and guiding you and leading you, but you need to let go of the control. I was recently at a training and someone was asking a question about how they were worried about learning to become the dominant force in their life, which we talk a lot about in the health program that I'm part of, and learning how to do that. And she was worried that when she becomes the dominant force of her life, that she would somehow not be trusting God the way that she wants to. And the speaker said, the minute that you are not willing to let go of control is the moment that you are no longer relying on God. I think you could hear a pin drop in that arena, in that room. And it was just exactly what I needed to hear too. Because I think sometimes when we worry about when we're moving forward and we're going toward our goals and we're pushing forward towards something that we think is important, we might start guessing, second guessing, what if this is not what I'm supposed to do? What if I'm not supposed to be taking control? I think so often as a Christian, we will spend our time and say, well, we'll just pray about it. And if God leads, then that's what we'll do. Yes, it is important. Believe me, it is so important to rely on God, to go to Him. But I think we also need to trust Him. And I don't think He wants us just to sit idly and hope and wish that He's going to answer. I think when there's something that we need to do, when there's a movement we need to make, when there's a way to move forward that we can do, I think that He wants us to do that. I don't think He wants us, He's not a genie. We're not meant to just go and wish and hope that as we pray, He's going to open up the sky and we're going to see the path exactly like we want to see. I don't really think that that's how God works. I think He calls to us and reveals to us in His scripture and the word as we read and we study and we come closer to Him. And I think He will guide and direct us and He will shut those doors. But I think sometimes when we have a door shut, sometimes we just use that as an excuse to give up or just, well, I'll just pray about it. what really, I don't always know if that obstacle, that door that is shut, I think God will make it very clear. If it is not something that you are meant to do, it will be very evident. There will be many, many, many doors shut. The direction will be cut off. God won't want you to move towards a direction. If you're in tune with Him, you will know. You won't have a rest in your heart because you'll know that that's not what He wants for you. But if there's something that He's placed in your heart, if there's a goal or there's something that you're wanting to do, and you think about that, and it's on your heart and it's on your mind, and you're seeking Him, I think it's important for you to continue to walk into that. It might not be perfect. They say that success is not a straight line, and that is so true, right? Anyone that has tried to do something, think about a time that you were even trying to, I don't know, like maybe, paint a room or something. And then you realize, oh, this part of the wall is imperfect. Oh, I need to sand this down. Oh, these holes from the previous pictures were up there, and now I need to close all those holes up. Like, there's all those different things that come in front of us that feel like an obstacle that might make it hard. And I don't think the journey is supposed to be easy. It causes us to rely on God. It causes us to move forward through that obstacle and know that on the other side, there will be an excitement, a blessing, a change, 1%, that little bit that we make, that little step of faith that we move forward. When we take that step, trust that God is in control and move forward and do the action. So I don't know where you're at and how this will reach you. I just really wanted to jump in today because I know that if I keep putting it off, it won't happen. If I can keep saying, I want to do a podcast and I want to share some things that are on my heart with other people, and if they want to listen, great. Maybe no one will listen to this, and that's fine too. But if this is what I feel that God is leading me to do, I want to do the action. I want to have that faith and step into it and say, okay, God, you've got it. I'm making my effort. I'm taking that step of faith and trusting that you are in control. So I challenge you, what is it that you need to step forward toward today? What is that one step you need to make? What is that prayer that you've been praying over and over again, waiting for an answer, where you really just need to take a step, make an action, move forward? I challenge you to write that out. Journal it. I know journaling is not always so fun, but it's amazing when you start writing things down. You're able to really start moving through that and realizing what your next steps are. Read the Bible, seek Him and pray about it, but don't just sit there and wait. Move forward, make a decision, make that step, take that step to that invisible bridge and see what happens. Thanks so much for listening. I hope this is an encouragement to you today. Take care. So I'm really excited to share that today launches the Reset Your Mindset Challenge. I've been talking about this for a while, and it is here. And so before we got too much farther into the episode, I wanted to make sure that I talked about this because today is the launch. So if you are not registered yet, you're not too late. If this is Monday afternoon even, just come and join us. So it's not too late. If you're listening to this many months after April of 2025, then message me on Instagram and I can let you know what's going on, what's coming up next, or how you can hear some more of maybe this challenge or something else that might be in service to you. But I am so excited. So we start today at noon Eastern Standard Time, and we're going to go over all of Reset Your Mindset, and we're going to be talking about what mindset is, why is it important. We're going to be talking about a growth and fixed mindset. We're going to be talking about affirmations. We're going to be talking about so much more. So each day we'll have a little bit of time me teaching on my private Zoom room, and then you'll have some chance to interact with me, and we'll go through some prompts that I have already for you. There's a beautiful workbook all ready to go, and we'll have that time together. And all of those episodes will be available. All the days of the challenge will be available through April 29th, Tuesday, April 29th, and then those will all be taken down. So make sure that you join us. There will be a replay. So if you can't join us at noon Eastern Standard Time, it's okay. You can jump in and listen to the recordings. I'll send those out. If you register, you'll be able to get those. And I'm so excited for you to do that. And when this episode airs, I will be on the cusp of talking about my Flourish Accelerator program that is going to be launching Monday afternoon. So Monday around 12:30 or so, you'll get to hear a little bit more about the Flourish Accelerator program as well. So I am so excited. I've been working lots of hours getting ready for this, and I cannot wait to do this journey with you. So make sure that you put reset in the comments, message me on Instagram at steph.book, or send me an email at stephanie@stephaniebook.com. Get a hold of me. Put something here in the comments of here. I will get you the links and all you need so that you can join us.
My goodness, have you ever thought about how fast time goes by? Just this past week, I was looking at some different memories that have come up in front of me, through my different social media feeds and things like that. And I cannot believe how fast some things have gone by. Things that feel like it was just maybe a couple months ago or maybe a year ago and have been 5 or 10 years later. Does that ever happen to you where it just feels like it's like a blip of time? And it helps us realize how quickly time goes by and how little time we really have to waste to live our lives to the full. Now, something that you might not know about me is many years ago, I owned my own gift shop. Now, I didn't have it for a very long time, but I do remember the first days stepping into that dream that I had and opening the doors to Poema, or Poema is how I called it, but I think it's called Poema, and I'll explain. I was reminded about the shop this week when I was reading a devotional about Ephesians 2:10. This was a verse that I really based the name of the gift shop on. Ephesians 2:10 says, "For we are God's handiwork, or workmanship, created in Christ Jesus to do good works, which God prepared in advance for us to do." The word handiwork or workmanship, there are English words that come from the Greek word poema, or poema as I called it. And the poema's definition says it's that which has been made, or a work. I like this word because, we are wonderfully created by our Father. And I think that is a great way to combine the things that were wonderfully created, that craftsmanship and workmanship that the different vendors had, that they displayed with the products that they had made. Because my shop had a lot of people that were local vendors, local artists, people that design beautiful things for others to be able to purchase for their home. So it just seemed like it made such good sense to name that, because it aligned how beautiful the creation of God is of us, and also those things that other people are making. The shop was beautiful, and I'm so glad I stepped into the fear to try to make that shop work. I didn't have it for long, like I said, but I still remember that feeling. The day I remember looking in the mirror inside the bathroom in that place, and I smiled from ear to ear because it was something I really wanted to do, and I stepped into it. I opened up the doors to this shop. Now, there's a lot of different things that I figured out along the way and realized that maybe it wasn't something that was perfectly designed for me to do. Maybe if I would have taken a little bit more time to understand it or know what is involved, it might have been open a little bit longer. It might have helped that longevity of the shop. But I was really glad that I didn't let the excuses of me wanting to do that and having that fear stop me from moving into it. I was reflecting on my whole journey as an entrepreneur, and wow, I have seen some ups and some downs. I teared up a bit this week when I texted my husband, and I just wanted to thank him for his patience and his support. All the many, many times that I've stepped into something new that I wanted to try to do or create, or just really trying to find where my purpose was and how I could create that impact that I wanted to make. Do you ever feel like you have tried all the things? I learned soon, like I said, after opening Poema, that the shop might not have been the best path for me. But had I not tried to open the doors to the shop, I might have always been sitting there wondering and wishing and hoping and just curious of if it would have worked, if I had what it takes. I've not been too shy to try a lot of new things in my life. And I think it takes a lot of gumption to continue to try new things and see that failure stamp, right across the books. I'm not saying I am a failure, but I see how each step, each attempt, each perceived failure along my journey has brought me to where I am today. It's hard to wrap my mind around all the changes I have stepped into regardless of the outcome. I used to place my own worth on if I was successful or not. which is a really, really tough way to live when you have tried as many things as I have. I was so hard on myself. Each time I would try something, it might not have worked out as I had envisioned. Do you ever feel like that? Do you feel like you have something or you've done lots of those things, but you're afraid to step into anything new because you've seen the past, or you're measuring your worth on the success or failure of something you've done? Now, I see a few things that I could have held onto or fought longer, but I didn't see the value that I had, so I didn't expect anything different. But I now see how each step along the way, each failure, every no or not yet, each of these stepping stones in my journey is, well, just that. It's part of my journey. Have you ever worked towards something and wished that the outcome would change faster than it has? Have you ever questioned why something doesn't work out just as you thought? Did you ever measure your worth against something that didn't happen the way you thought? Is it just me? I believe I could be the only one. So if you struggle with a feeling like you're not enough, or you've never stepped out of your comfort zone to move towards something you desire, then you know what? You're missing out on what could be for your life. Don't waste any more time wishing and waiting for something you could try and even fail at. The fail isn't easy, but it's worth it. Now, I'm not where I would have envisioned myself at this point, but I do see the growth and change in my life, and that is priceless. I've grown so much since I opened Poema, and I have a much clearer picture of who I want to be, who I want to serve, how to do it. On our journey of life, it's just that, a journey. We get the opportunity to grow and shift and change into something meant just for us. We get the chance every single day to step forward, one tiny little step, 1 little millimeter, 1% of growth today. We need to stop comparing our beginning or our middle with someone else's experience and success. You don't know what Poema they have opened in their lives, what growth and shifts and redirections they've had to make in their lives to get where they are now. You don't know where they have grown, what they have gone through to get to where they are. Comparison is such an ugly way to measure our success. It always draws us and makes us feel worse and takes us away from the greatness and the movement that we have made in our lives. We focus on that negative. My friends, keep moving forward. Keep trying out new things and new paths. Nobody cares how much you try or fail. You just think they do. I used to be afraid to share what I was doing now or working on currently because I was so afraid of what people were going to say about my next adventures. They might have been thinking, what is she doing now? She's always trying some business or doing something new. Maybe thinking that, and if you are, well, that's okay. That's right, okay with me, because the journey that I'm traveling along the way, I know it's creating me into who I want to be, allowing me to flourish into the life that I really want. My guess is most people are not judging you for the things that you're trying to do. And they're actually probably very inspired by your bravery for stepping into something, doing something new, trying, seeing the failure, and yet they also see you to continue to contend and move toward the pull you have toward your dreams and desires. Just think about all the authors or inventors or movie stars, athletes. You hear these stories all the time. These famous people who are rejected over and over and over again until finally one person said yes. You'll never move toward what you want if you don't take a step. If you don't take a risk and step into the unknown, you may never create the life you desire. I know I don't want to sit at the end of my life and wish that I would have done something. I want to be able to look at all I've tried and failed at and see the growth and understand all that I needed to go through to become who I want to be and who God has designed me to be. So what's your next step? What changes or movement or fear do you need to take action on? What if you decide to make a step, one tiny little step towards success? What if you failed? The outcome really doesn't matter. It's about the journey. It's about taking those steps through life. Don't waste any more time waiting for something to fall into your lap to make it perfect. Because you know what? It's not going to be that way. The twists and turns and curviness of life, of journey, of failure, of success, all the things that you're going through, whether it's you're starting a business, you're wanting to start a new health plan, you want to go back to school, you want to write a book, you want to become a more present parent. I don't care what it is, but don't keep wishing or planning or allowing the fear to stop you from moving toward it. Because I think that say this all the time, but I think those dreams, those desires that you have in your heart, they come from that prompting that God gives you to move and step into, to trust Him, to have faith that He will walk you through it. I wish life could be as simple as, those rom-coms. I just love it how it's like the big fancy lawyer or whatever it is from the city comes. She's beautiful and thin and perfect. And she goes to her small little town that she grew up in. And then, this bakery is failing. And so she needs to open the bakery, and she becomes successful and she meets the love of her life, and all the things, all the stress, all the worry of life is gone, and she's happy go lucky. There's always that little, oh no, little thing in the middle, that little bit. She gets that failure too, but it turns out wonderful in the end. And I'm not saying that our lives don't get to turn out wonderful, but we don't have quite that picture perfect look. And I think sometimes we think that, well, if we just try, everything will be perfect and we'll be like that wonderful rom-com. But it doesn't work out that way. There is ups and there's downs. There's successes and there's failures, and some people, again, we don't know what they've walked through to get to that special place that they are now, that success that they see. We don't know exactly how God has equipped them to become or be who they are at that moment. But we know who He has created us to be, the greatness that He has in us, that He has equipped us for, that we get to step into and create our story, our journey. Now, I'm not saying that you can't have big dreams and expect great things to happen, but it takes work, consistency, lots of growth, time, and even belief in what you are doing. Seek God. Ask Him for direction. He will steer you on your path. My friends, keep going. Don't give up. You know that you're meant for more, and I want you to create it. We hear this phrase, faith over fear, and it may sound cliche. It's on all the Christian things. I even have t-shirts that I had made that say faith over fear, because it's a great reminder, to help us navigate through the life through faith over fear. It's not a specific verse in the Bible, but there are example after example where others have put their faith in the Lord and have stepped into that fear and He's showed up in a big way. So I encourage you to read Hebrews 11, but I wanted to highlight some of the verses before we go, because I think it's really just a reminder of how much our faith is important. Now, there's all scripture all over about faith, but I'm just wanting to focus on a little bit of the verses in Hebrews 11. So take some time this week and read it, but just sit in here and just listen a little bit about what God says about faith in Hebrews 11. So here are some highlighted verses of Hebrews 11. Hebrews 11:1. Faith shows the reality of what we hope for. It's the evidences of things we cannot see. Verse 3. By faith, we understand that the entire universe was formed at God's command, that what we now see did not come from anything that can be seen. Verse 4, it was by faith that Abel brought a more acceptable offering to God than Cain did. Verse 5, it was by faith that Enoch was taken up to heaven without dying. He disappeared because God took him. Now I'm taking parts of these verses. Again, read the whole entire chapter because it gives you the full picture, but I just wanted to highlight some of these. Verse 7 starts, it was by faith that Noah built a large boat to save his family from the flood. He obeyed God, who warned him about things that had never happened before. By his faith, Noah condemned the rest of the world, and he received the righteousness that comes by faith. I mean, do you think that Noah wasn't scared? Yes, I'm sure he stepped into that faith. He trusted, but I guarantee that he was probably also scared. Think about all the naysayers and the people judging him and laughing at him and mocking him for the things that he was doing. But he had faith and he trusted that God was in control. and he stepped into that fear and built the ark anyhow. It was by faith that Abraham obeyed when God called him to leave home and go to another land that God would give him as his inheritance. He went without knowing where he was going. That's some faith. It was by faith that even Sarah was able to have a child. Though she was barren and was too old, she believed that God would keep his promise. Jumping down to verse 17, it was by faith that Abraham offered Isaac as a sacrifice when God was testing him. Okay, if you're a mom, I just cannot imagine the faith that Abraham had. Wow, I long for that faith, to be able to be that trusting of who God is and who he says to be. Just think about what greatness he could do in and through you if you would have even a little bit of that faith that Abraham had. I could keep going, and I was going to read more verses, but I think for now you get the picture. You get the idea of how important it is for us to trust who God is and allow our faith in him be louder than our fear, louder than the comparison, louder than taking the step. I am so grateful for the steps that I have taken in my life to move toward things that I've had passion about, that I've felt called to do, that I've wanted to do deep down in my soul. I'm thankful that I've made those steps, but I'm not saying it was easy and it was scary. And sometimes we need to step into that fear, allow God to work in us. He enables us. He gives us all that we need. We just need to trust in him. So I hope this was encouraging to you, my friends. I hope that it gives you another perspective of how you can navigate through different things in your life. That faith over fear, not worrying about whether or not you're succeeding or failing, but knowing that who you're becoming along the journey is so worth every step that you take. Please, as I always say, please pass this on to anyone you think it would be helpful to, because my hope, my desire is just to help others be able to see the greatness that they have inside them and that God has equipped them. He has purposely, beautifully designed each person to become who he sees you to be. So thank you again for spending this time with me. I hope you have a wonderful and fabulous day.
I hope that you enjoyed today's episode. It was really fun to look back and listen and hear where I've been and to where I am now. And I'm still just working each day, trying to become better, stepping one little step ahead at a time to be able to bring forward the things that I want to teach you and the things that I have learned that I want to help you along the way. So my friends, please remember that you are worthy and capable of living a full and flourishing life. Success isn't just possible, it's meant for you. Take care. Thank you for joining me on Flourish. I hope today's episode left you feeling inspired and equipped to take your next step with confidence. If you enjoyed this episode, I'd love for you to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with a friend who needs this encouragement. Be sure to connect with me on Instagram at steph.book and join our Facebook community of faith-driven women who are ready to flourish. Make sure to check out the show notes for all the ways we can connect and continue this journey of growth together. My friends, remember, you are worthy and capable of living a full and flourishing life. Success isn't just possible, it's meant for you. Take care.